Call to order the meeting, July 17, 2019 meeting of the Downtown Development Authority. This is a time for public comment. If you want to address the board, now would be the time. Just let me know and we'll recognize you. And okay?
Sure.
We need your name and address if you don't mind, please.
My name is John Daniello, and I live at 67 Lloyd Avenue. I've been there for 36 years, and I've been living in Royal Oak for over 40 years. And I'm kind of known as my other name, which is John D. Lamb. I'm a singer-songwriter. It's my latest record. This is one that won the Detroit Music Awards, and I did a lot of traveling for many years with the rock and roll band. But it's one of my greatest accomplishments is being a citizen of Royal Oak, and it's kind of the only place where I get to use my real name. And years ago, Mayor WROK and Carlo Giannotti suggested I join the Citizens Advisory Committee, and I was on that for several years, and I learned a lot about how to distribute HUD funds to low to moderate income areas. Then I became a member of the Rehabilitation Board of Appeals, and I was on that for 12 years, and the last 2 years of it, I was the chairman of that board. And we helped distribute funds and help pave streets and sidewalks and the senior center and the women's club, and I helped spearhead the tearing down of the WROK building, which was dilapidated, and we put together a lot of stuff for parks. And this past February, at the February City Commission meeting, the mayor gave me a thank you certificate, and that was an honorable thing to do for all my years of service there. 2 years ago, I also became a member of the board of the Royal Oak Commission for the Arts, and I was on that board for 2 years, and we did some good things. Of course, I was the newest member of the board, and they had already been in place for a couple years only, and they'd been choosing art for display around Royal Oak, and they have the initiative of the live music on Thursday nights in the summertime, and I was a good member who only missed a couple meetings, and I was always on time. This past February or so, after being on the board for 2 years, I came up with a program. The other thing that I do is for over 20 years now, I'm the director of Spring-Fed Arts, which is a nonprofit arts organization that promotes and educates in the art of prose writing, poetry writing, and songwriters. I've put on over 50 retreats up in Harbor Springs, Michigan, Walloon Lake, Michigan, Petoskey, and Detroit, downtown Detroit, for retreats for poets and authors and for songwriters. And I'm nationally known for doing this because I've brought a lot of famous songwriters and a lot of famous authors and poets to Michigan. Over the years, I have, actually for several years now, I've been running rooms at the Senior Center where I have teachers that teach poetry and creative nonfiction classes. This has been going on for a long time, and just recently I connected with the Royal Oak Library. They have a new director, and I've been having classes there as well. I have a couple of teachers that teach mostly senior citizens, 6-week courses in poetry and prose writing. So I came up with a program for the Royal Oak Commission for the Arts called the Royal Oak Writers and Music Series, and it was something I wanted to do monthly at the Royal Oak Library. And I'd already made some inroads connecting with the new directors at the library, and they were excited that I was going to put together these programs that featured 3 or 4 writers and poets and a songwriter at each program. And I've been doing this for years at places like the Ferndale Library, the Birmingham Library, Charlevoix Library, and places around the state. But I've never did it in my own hometown. This is a town where I could be sort of anonymous and just live and raise my kids and be a part of the community. Anyhow, we had set up a meeting with the Royal Oak Library. I had it all in place. I was led to believe that the DDA was going to help fund this proposal that I'd made with the Royal Oak Commission for the Arts, and we were all set to let me book it and get the funding. And anyhow, the Royal Oak Commission of the Arts somehow had a different idea, and they tried to sabotage the event by telling the Royal Oak Library that my Spring-Fed Arts nonprofit organization was being run illegally, which is wrong, and we just had a retraction of that, which took about 6 weeks to get. But I resigned politely from the board, and I said that I'd still like to go on with the series. But I read through in their minutes from their last meeting that they have decided to not include Springfield Arts in the Royal Writers music series and would like to look for other avenues. But I know that I was the only one who was really pushing for a poetry event in the city, and none of them were really interested in doing that. They were more interested in pushing their live music Thursdays. They hoped that I would coincide my event with live music Thursdays, and I didn't want to because I have a lot of senior citizens that attend my events, and I want to do an off night, like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I've gone ahead and I've booked 4 monthly Writers and Music Series events that begin in January of 2020. They will take place on Wednesday, the 4th Wednesday of the month. I do fundraise, and I do have some funds where I could put on a decent program with our own money. But I had hoped that we would get support from the city. And so if there is a friend on this board that would like to contact me further so that we could get something going with me being the director of it, that's what I'm asking for. Do you have any questions?
How do we get a hold of you?
Easily found. You can Google me. I'm happy to give you my number right now, and I can tell it to you over the microphone. 248-224-9338.
We don't have a big audience listening to us, so you're fine.
What's that?
That's not a big audience listening to this program.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. And I recognized Tim Thwing from many times that he came to our board meetings. This particular email that was sent out to defame me by the chairman of the Royal Commission for the Arts was CC'd to all the members of the Royal Commission, and it was CC'd to Don Johnson, who I know is retiring. But Don Johnson had come to our board, and when he suggested that we take that tree that was cut down in front of City Hall and turn it into a sculpture that would honor Marshall Fredericks, I was one of the only members of the Royal Commission for the Arts that supported that. And that piece of log that was cut down a couple of years ago is sitting in the stockyard in front of my house in WROK Park, and is being aged and readied for a sculptor to make something for Marshall. That's probably one of the best things that we decided to do during my tenure on the commission. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, very
Appreciate
good.
it.
Yep.
Who's next?
I can't sit still.
Yep.
All these folks here, and I expected more hands to come up. Bill Harrison, 2729 Trafford, and emeritus member of the DDA. The reason I'm here is Laura called me, I don't know, about 2 o'clock or so, and said that you're going to be talking about marijuana in downtown. Now, I must admit, I haven't had a chance to read or even about it or even see your agenda. I was over at the office trying to sort out an IT problem. I'm on vacation. But anyway, this marijuana thing, I don't believe in it. The medical marijuana, I don't have a problem with it, but let's not put it in the hands of independent dealers. I would prefer that it was handled like any other pharmaceutical. That being said, over the past several years, I have turned down 3 people that wanted to put in some form of marijuana facility in my buildings downtown. I just don't think we want it downtown. I think we ought to follow the example of some of our neighboring communities that said, not in my backyard. We have enough problem. I've appeared before the city commission 3 times talking about the problem we have with certain restaurant bars in town that are bringing in people that don't know how to behave. And the common denominator seems to be the type of music that they play and party rooms. And I'm aware of at least two bars that have changed their music venue so don't encourage these people. And one after-hours restaurant closes now at 11 o'clock instead of serving the after-bar crowd because they got tired of the troublemakers that kept showing up. We've had 2 instances of firearm activity, one live firearm shooting, another one where an individual was brandishing an AK-47 around, fortunately did not shoot. We've had instances many, many years ago over at corner of 4th and Washington. I can't remember the name of the place, but they were attracting the same kind of people. There was a drive-by shooting, and the commission at that time said, that's enough, you're out of here. So we need somebody to grab a hold of what's right and go after, try to do something to discourage the wrong kind of people coming into the downtown. We want, Royal Oak has always been known as a safe community, and we want to keep it that way. And again, I think that the marijuana issue goes right along with it, and I would prefer that we do not invite marijuana establishments downtown or, quite frankly, anywhere else in the city, but specifically downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Good afternoon, Carol Hennessy, 258 East 12 Mile Road. I know it's Christmas in July, and I'm sorry I haven't been here earlier to speak about it, but a lot of you know my husband's been ill, and I haven't been able to come to your meetings. This is the first one I've been able to come to. I went to a lot of the Christmas things that happened last year. I thought they were nice. I didn't think they were attended highly, like the one at the farmer's market. I would suggest the group that came and sang, they were very good. But for the tree lighting, I think if you had a children's choir singing, I think you would get more people and more children involved because they're more excited about the tree lighting. And then have the adult group possibly sing in the evening for the adult people. I didn't quite understand the tent on Fifth Avenue. It had liquor and dancing and a few vendors. We've got so many bars in the area. Why do we need to have one in the middle of the street? And I didn't understand that. And the lighting in there was very hard to buy any goods from the vendors that were there. If you want to have something for the adults, like have the adult choir come and sing that night for the adults and have more adult activities and have the children's activities during the day. And like maybe have reindeer that they could feed or, just little things that the kids would get excited about. And I think the sleighs with the horse and buggies, that went well. But I was just a little bit concerned, and maybe it was because it was the first year we didn't have as good attendance for the tree lighting. And then the other thing, when all the lights didn't go on, that was another fiasco, but you couldn't control that. So that's just kind of some of my input. Children like to see children, and I think children come to like to see the tree lighting, and the adults would be more apt to listen to the adult choir. And they were very good, and I enjoyed them, but I didn't think there were very many kids at our tree lighting, so I just thought maybe if you can change that around a little bit.
Carol,
And-
can I make a suggestion to you?
Yes.
If you don't mind? If you could, you got some great thoughts and some great ideas, and if you could somehow get those down either on paper or email to Sean, we can then take this back to the committee level, and when we meet with the people that run the event and everything else, we can share all this information with them.
Okay, and yeah,
So
I
that
could
would
do
be,
that.
that would be really nice if you could do that.
Okay,
At your convenience.
okay,
Just get the information to Sean, and then we'll have it, and we'll be able to discuss that information.
okay. Yeah, that's just my thought, because I've gone since my kids were tiny, so, and we've been living here 52 years, so I've been going to all the tree lighting and stuff, so I know what the kids like and stuff like that. So that was just kind of my suggestion. And then I do have a thought about the handicap parking and stuff, and I know I need it, and my husband needs it more than I do, and there's more handicapped people than you know that need those parking spaces. And sometimes it's hard for them to get back and forth to the meters, especially if they're dining somewhere. If they're dining, it's longer than what the money they put in the meter. So if you could maybe not charge them for the handicap spots or something, I don't know. But that's just a suggestion too, because it's kind of hard for them to come back out to have to put more money in if their meals are taking longer than they had anticipated. So just my thought. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I appreciate putting in the new parking spots on the street level. That'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to address the board? Yes.
I have a handout too, if that's okay. Can we give those to you?
Sure.
I met with the Consumer Marketing Committee. I am on too.
Yeah, if you want to just hold off, if that was what you were, I wasn't sure that's what you were here for, but,
I'm sorry, I didn't really.
yeah, we will be getting to that shortly.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, Debbie Campbell, East University. I wasn't going to say anything. I tried to get the agenda, and for some reason it wouldn't open in the supporting documents. I'm real interested. I've been following the cannabis sales in Royal Oak and all of that, and I'm curious how close are we to a decision being made about that, and where it's going to be not so close?
I mean, I think what's on the agenda is just for us to look at it and make a recommendation from the DDA to the city commission. Is that correct, Tim?
On the marijuana
Yeah.
issue? Well, the city commission's holding a work session on Monday night, the 22nd.
Okay.
The work session is going to be an overview of marijuana, recreational marijuana, medical marijuana, two separate acts. And staff's looking for direction on it. Right now, the city of Royal Oak has opted out of both, meaning neither can operate in the city. But the one ordinance regarding recreational marijuana has a sunset of February of 2020.
Okay.
So they'd either have to extend that or the potential they'll start licensing. The state of Michigan released its rules last week.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to start taking applications November 1st, so we're looking for direction.
Let's see.
So the first big meeting will probably be the 22nd. It's in this room, and I believe it starts at 6.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you very much.
Good. Anybody else tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Back to the agenda. Item 3, approval of the meeting minutes from June 19th, 2019.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Approve. And a second. Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, expense items. Monthly expense. This is for informational only, no action needed. Questions?
One quick question. Under scoop, it says pedicab 4 months. Did we, and I'm thinking, is that?
4 weeks.
Okay, because I thought that we had been, that was June, and then July, we're doing the.
Doing the
just
cost
subsidy,
sharing,
for lack of a
yeah.
better term. Got it, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the monthly expense report?
It's a mix.
Seeing none, move on. Item number 5, Farmers Market sponsorship request.
Robin is here from the market, and I'll let her walk through that item.
We printed this out just so you guys have a little bit of background for it. Some of you have seen partial. So, for about 12 years now.
You gotta wait. till we're back.
Should've brought scissors. Thank you. So for about 12 years now, the Farmers Market is hosted as a rental, a senior expo. It's been put on by, originally established by Senator Papa George, who did it for his 8 years in office, then continued by Senator Nolenberg. We reached out to the new senator's office. They were not interested in continuing the event. So it sort of was going to go away, and we thought that that was a shame. It's a really valuable event. It has had up to 1,200 people attend it. As of late, we get about 600 or 700 people. It's a vendor expo. It's lots of giveaways, great information, flu shots, help with Social Security issues, Medicaid, Medicare. But then we also thought this year we might want to put a slightly different spin on it and make it to that maybe going to be a senior or that younger senior, people that may be in their early 50s kind of thinking about things that might be coming up. We'd love to reach out to the senior centers of the area and maybe have them part of it. We've reached out already to Beaumont Hospital to be one of our presenters. And I was speaking with Sean in another area, and he had said that the DDA was also possibly looking at something to do for seniors. So it would be an event during the day from 9 to 2. It would include a lunch, a presentation, like I said, health and fitness, flu shots, entertainment, giveaways, that kind of thing. We'll reach out to area businesses to be as little as a nonprofit table or someone that would like to just give a raffle item or at least have awareness that the business is in Royal Oak, and then anywhere to a presenting sponsor. The event itself, and this is, I included a estimate of expenses, and that's really being very generous. I don't think we're going to come anywhere close to that, but it's going to be about $25,000 to run it. We'd love the DDA to be part of it. If you'd like to take the whole nut, we'd love to do that. If you'd like to come on as a sponsor, you've got the information there and the levels of sponsorship. So we'd love you guys to be included, and hopefully you'll give it some consideration. It's an event that we are excited about continuing and becoming a staple for seniors in Michigan, in this area. Thank you.
Could you hold on one second? We're going to have some questions here.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
Questions for Robin?
in past years, I would assume that you've gotten corporate sponsorships, probably some within the medical field. I mean, do they typically cover the expenses for the event?
I'm confident that we should be able to cover all of our expenses, yes.
Okay.
The Beaumont Hospital is one that we've reached out to. They're very good to us. We won't find that out till mid-August. I have contacted the gentleman that used to work with Papa George and with Senator Nolenberg, who sold sponsorships and has knowledge of like who he has gone to, and he's willing to come on board and help us do that as well. So I don't think this is going to be a situation where we're needing the whole, we don't need the whole dollars, but we'd love the DDA to be involved at some level.
And also, with the event, like with the, and I apologize, but I haven't read through the whole thing, but there's no vendors per se there, but I would assume there's tables of people like.
There are vendors there.
Vendors, okay.
Right now, we're still, we haven't got a firm commitment, but Walgreens is more than likely going to be
Okay.
there. There's several, our credit union has already signed on. There's some local businesses that have already contacted and said, yes, we want to be there. American House is one of them that has been there in the past. So absolutely, but more than just, what there is for seniors, which is still a very important topic, we'd love to be able to kind of highlight what we have in this area. And, what does our senior center have for seniors? What does the downtown have for seniors? We really want to kind of emphasize a more healthy, fit lifestyle, which is really where that group is going anyway. And there are so many options and so many businesses that are opening, you know, Barcode and the boxing place and just places, Zumba is coming on board to teach a, you know, real light or more moderate or more exciting, you know, more hard, difficult little routine that people can do. They're going to teach something that you can do in your chair and something that you can work up a sweat on. So really looking at it more of a lifestyle expo, and certainly with that senior slant. But like I said, we'd love to hit that you know, that 50-ish.
Any other questions for Robin from the board here before we bring it back to the table? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
So, we're at the point here where we could take some action, take no action, whatever the board's pleasure is here. Open for discussion on this issue? Anybody?
One thing interesting, Sean, is this something where we would maybe get a table, have a present some sort to let the seniors attending know, here's what downtown Royal Oak offers the seniors? I mean, is that something that we work
Come
on?
back up, Robin, is that something that would be included with sponsorship?
Okay.
Sponsorship level at that.
Probably the 7,500.
Oh.
But
the 7,500?
well, 7,500 is like, I wanna say it's mine, I wanna have a stage presence, I wanna be front and center. And if that's where you're headed, I would love that. I would never say no to $7,500. I don't know if that really fits in what you want to do. If it does, wonderful. And if it doesn't, let's figure out what does work for you guys.
Well, and I guess I'm just gonna be frank here. When I looked at this, in the packet, my first thought was, man, oh man, if we start, you know, sponsoring things like this, we're really opening up, we're gonna open up the floodgates. However, if there's something that differentiates this, in other words, if we're an active participant in it, well, then maybe that's a different story. Because this is the first time I'm here, you know, really putting it all together, and just a thought, I'm throwing it out there.
If you don't mind, my thought was exactly the same thing. Is this gonna open Pandora's box? The farmer's market does a lot of events. Is this something singular, or will you be coming back asking for,
Every month.
We're really moving away from, alcohol-related events, if you
No,
will.
that's not what I'm talking about, but you know what I mean, there's a lot of events at the farmer's market.
Yes,
And
there are a lot of events, and there are many times I could come to the well. I just think for this event, because of what it is and what it represents, it makes sense to go to the DDA and have the DDA have a presence. And whether that's, I want a table for $500 or $100, or I want to sponsor a lunch, or I want to sponsor the entertainment, or whatever that commitment is, I just really feel that the DDA should be part of it. And we're reaching out to the chamber, I mean, area businesses, I mean, this is something that we really want to build as a premier event for the city of Royal Oak.
So I have the same
Right.
concern, it's Pandora's box, and it's a private enterprise. So, let alone the farmer's market doing all these events, now any business in Royal Oak could say, oh, I'll get the DDA to help me do my event. I want to do a ladies' night out, just my store, I'll have them give me money. I think it's a slippery slope, and it's a dangerous one. And that you only get 600 people, and you're spending $25,000, that's $45 per person to bring someone in. I just think the cost ratio is just not there for me.
Tony?
I guess I agree with all that, except I think the distinguishing factor is that it's the purpose of the event. It's for the seniors. We give a lot of support to a lot of different causes. I can't think of one time that we've supported the seniors. So I think this is a unique opportunity. I'd be happy to decline any other event that came up that didn't have a special aspect to it, or something that gives us an opportunity to do something we haven't done before. So I think I agree with everybody, but I think the distinguishing factor is is the seniors, and that's an excellent idea, is to have a table and explain to the seniors what is available to them. So, you know, I'd be inclined to support it, and we just have to decide on what amount, but I think
Right.
any amount, you really get the table and the presence.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not coming here asking for, you know, the whole dollar.
Right.
I mean, certainly, we're not gonna say no to dollars if that's where you wanna be. But I just want the DDA to be part of it, at whatever level you're comfortable being part of it.
Any other oh, I'm sorry,
So
Jason?
I'm agreeing with Tony, you know,
Okay.
because to me, this is a unique thing. This isn't a vodka or something like that. So I see it as something that could be, you know, perceived as informative, you know, and I like that. And if there is a presence there with the downtown, whether it's a booth, table, sponsorship, or something like that, I saw it as a positive when I was listening to your pitch, you know, and unique. That's why I like it.
Thank you.
So.
Any other comments at this point?
I'll just add one more thing. I totally agree with what Director London said, in that my fear was not only farmer's market, but the entire floodgates. But again, if we are an active participant in it, then I think that definitely sets a different kind of precedent.
Yeah. For my 2 cents, I agree with both sides of the table here and all the comments that were made, and I think they're all valid points here. I do see a little bit of a differential in this sponsorship as opposed to some other sponsorship that we may be asked to do. I agree that I would, you know, like to see a small sponsorship, maybe even the smallest sponsorship that we could do here. But I would insist that we do some sort of presence at the event itself. I think that has to be part of it, and I think for the small amount of the sponsorship, you know, that I can justify us having a table and having a presence there and having material to hand out to the seniors and being part of the event. Yeah, I can get on board with that, so.
So you're suggesting like $500?
I think for the way that they've got it broken down here, I don't think we need to be part of the entrance sign. I think the vendor market table is important, and the program booklet portion is important, and that's why I kind of looked at that amount. But I'm open for discussion of what the table would like to do here.
I'm gonna make a motion to support a sponsorship level of $1,000. I think in light of everything that we do at this table, that's a fair amount for this group that probably doesn't get as much support as some other groups do.
I have a motion on the table.
I'll second only because I'm pretty close to becoming one of those seniors.
Second by Director Bagdale. Any comments? More comments? Good, everybody? Anything else? I'll call for the vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 6, marijuana establishments downtown central business district.
Yep.
Tim, just give us a brief head into this.
Well, you've got a lot of material that's attached to the cover memo that I put in it. Let me start out by saying I'm not looking for any action today by the board. The intent here was to simply have the board have some discussion either today or later, or refer it to a committee if you so choose, to talk about whether or not you wanted to take a position on whether or not marijuana establishments should be allowed into downtown, and in particular the central business district under the zoning ordinance. As I indicated in the cover memo and earlier, the City Commission has scheduled a work session for the 22nd. The two ordinances that are in place, one under the related to the medical marijuana and the one related to recreational or adult marijuana, both have the city opted out or not opted in, depending on which statute you're referring to. But the one with recreational / adult marijuana sunsets in February. I am anticipating that the city commission is going to allow some sort of marijuana to occur, some establishments in Royal Oak in some fashion, based on the vote, the number of, the fallout of the vote of the residents, as well as some preliminary conversations with various city commission members, including the questions and comments I got when I asked them to specifically opt out of the adult recreational marijuana, knowing that staff needed time to at least address it. Wanted to make sure that we were in a position to have time to address this going forward. So I am anticipating that the commission, after the work session, at some point will give staff direction as far as city staff. I would also anticipate at some point it would be amendments to the zoning ordinance as well as a potential licensing ordinance. So the DDA's role in that, it's in and of itself, is very limited, other than if you wanted to take a position on whether or not any of the license types might be permitted in the central business district. I also attached the Cobalt survey that the city put out. I won't spend any time going through it. You can look at it at your leisure, other than to indicate it appeared the majority of the individuals involved had that responded had a negative reaction to allowing marijuana establishments in the CBD. So with that, and what I've attached in the report are basically definitions of those types of establishments, whether it's a direct consumption establishment, which when the rules came out a week or so ago, there were a couple of license types that weren't actually included in the statute that the Michigan Regulatory Agency added, and that being a designated consumption establishment, which would allow people to consume marijuana at a location. One of the items under that is that they can't have food and beverage there, but it's basically, if you, lack of a better term, it would be kind of like a hookah lounge or a vape lounge, but related to marijuana. Then obviously there's growers, micro businesses, processors. There's actually retail that would just simply be the sale of it. Safety compliance facilities, security transporters, which really isn't a land use location. It's how it gets from place to place. The other one that's new is something called a temporary event, which means someone could apply to have an event that's related to marijuana. And then I've also included a list of the marijuana facilities that were defined under the Medical Act. The rules are also attached to the packet that I gave you that I was referring to that were released. And they are temporary rules, but they could be extended. They're temporary for 6 months. My understanding is the agency could extend them for another 6 months. So there's provisions in there that we're looking at. It's all for your information. Again, if the board wants to consider taking a position, that's entirely up to you guys. If you don't, there's no requirement that you take any action. But I thought it was something you might want to look at and make that decision yourselves.
Let me ask you a question, because I don't think we're going to do anything on this tonight. Was it possible to send this down to a committee level?
I believe that it is.
To really
This
get into
is,
the weeds, because I don't think we're going to go through all this up
yeah,
here.
and, you know, my thoughts on this, and with the board's permission, this is a lot of material. This report alone is 50, 60 pages long.
89 pages.
The number of different licenses and so forth is extensive. And if we're going to look at this, we're going to have to look at each one of these individually to see which one may or may not fit for the CBD. So this, I'm not comfortable making any kind of recommendation this evening. I would like to see this go back to committee, and in the meantime, the rest of the board can go through this report and get their input. We could begin to talk about this if you guys want to, but I feel like we would be here for the next 3 to 4 hours if we started delving into this, because it's so much information. Again, with the board's indulgence, that's my thoughts. So I don't know if everybody agrees to that, we'll send it back to the committee level. If anybody has another thought.
Do you need to make a motion for that, or is that just?
No, we don't need to make a motion. I guess we just need to decide. I mean, I'm not sure.
Business marketing committee is what I would do, because it involves business type, potential business issues. That's what everyone wants. That's what I think.
Is everybody okay with that?
My only thought is, will it be useful for the commission on Monday, or do you not need it by Monday?
Oh, it's a public meeting, and feel free to attend if you want to.
Yeah.
I'm talking in terms of the DDA's recommendations.
Yeah.
I think we're just taking a position, but eventually, here's our position on it.
Okay.
I mean, once we
Yeah,
get to it.
exactly, it's a recommendation.
I think we're going to be hard pressed to have this resolved by the beginning of the year.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And remember, this is ultimately a city commission's decision, and this is just, they're looking for input in terms of the CBD.
Okay.
So if everybody's okay with that, we'll just do that? Okay, thank you. Item number 7, handicap parking.
Well, the only real issue left here, as you'll see in the report, was the infrastructure committee had met and discussed and forwarded a recommendation regarding adding handicap spots on street in the central business district, basically angle spots. When that went to the city commission, the commission referred the issue back to the DDA in regards to whether or not those spots should have to pay the going rate. As the committee discussed, and as we went over a little bit at the committee level, if you park in the parking deck at a handicap spot, you're paying. If you park in a kiosk lot, it's like around the farmer's market, potentially you're paying. Now, whether or not the police department is issuing tickets, I can't tell you, but I think the anticipation is there. There are a couple of spots in various lots that are not, that are metered lots that don't have meters at them, particularly the ones behind City Hall, the ones by the WROK. So there's a hodgepodge of things occurring. And so this was referred back from the City Commission to the DDA to get your recommendation on whether those spots should be continue to be metered and charged throughout, primarily the ones being added on the street, which I believe are 19 or 20 spaces. They haven't been added yet. They are at metered spaces currently.
They're painted. The spaces are painted.
Yeah, they're metered now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the committee also saw and reviewed some of the information under the ADA requirements, which there are no requirements to provide free parking under ADA. It's pretty much referred to the state level. And they also looked at the state emission requirements where the only way that they, at the state level, allow free parking is by applying for what is termed as a yellow sticker and having certain eligibility requirements. Other than that, it's kind of filtered down to the local level and enforcement. So there is no requirement for free handicap parking spaces. Anyways, that's what the committee went through, and there's no recommendation from the committee, I don't think, so.
Discussion. Yes.
A lot of research looking at things. Locally, of course, Birmingham, Ferndale, they charge at the meters. A lot of cities, a lot of big cities, Portland, Chicago, Baltimore, a handful of others that originally had gone with free handicap parking at the meters have subsequently rescinded it, unfortunately, due to widespread abuse. Because, and again, I read everything I could find on this. This is a tough one. Because our state has, and I'm not sure how the process works, but where one can go and get the, I guess it's the yellow sticker or whatever, that allows them to park for free in any situation. I mean, in my humble opinion, I think that we stick with everything just the way we have it now. If there's spots without meters that are handicap spots, fantastic. The spots that are metered now that are painted up, the only thing that I would change is that we make sure that we lower the meters. In fact, we should probably lower the meters everywhere while we're at it. And the decks obviously stay the same the way they are now. So I would, at this point, I think you know, I like what we've done. If anyone's driven down Washington, I mean, the spots are all painted up. I'm assuming we're going to paint the meters, but my opinion, we leave things the way we got them, and we charge at the meters. And if somebody goes to the state and gets the placard, whatever it is, then they park for free.
Gary?
I have a dear friend who is also a Royal Oak resident who has one of those yellow stickers, and you know, it allows her to park anywhere in the city for free. What I would suggest is maybe we get the process to get those somewhere on the Royal Oak website. One thing, we should probably also reinforce that with enforcement, because she gets tickets all the time.
Even with the
What she
sticker?
sends in, and they excuse them, but it, you know,
Even with the sticker, you're saying?
even with the sticker, but when she sends it into the police department, they excuse it. But it does, it's true free handicap parking. So it is.
The sticker.
With the sticker, you know, it's not like you can't park for free in Royal Oak at a handicap spot. It's just an extra process that you have to go through. I think we should leave it the way it is and lower the meters.
Anything?
Well, I would look for an actual motion and a resolution, simply because I've got to refer it back to the commission as a recommendation from this body. So if you want to continue to charge for parking based on whether meters are currently there, then, I mean, I don't want to phrase it for you, but
Would the motion be, so the motion is solely with regard to the meters? Is that correct? Or with regard to all handicap parking?
it's your motion.
So can the motion be to leave it the way it is now, or is that not clear enough?
I think in order to be clearer, I would articulate that, at least for the on-street that are being added, your recommendation is to charge at those spaces.
And to lower the meters?
Right.
Yeah.
That was already part of a
Okay.
prior,
Okay.
that was part of the recommendation
So-
to make them handicap.
So I'll move to, with the newly qualified handicap spots, that we continue to charge at the meters as we've done till now.
Motion by Director Riley. Support by Director Baglio. Any further discussion? Director Gasper.
My reading of the research that was provided to us, I reached the same conclusions that Director Riley did. It seems that even though cities that initially attempted to take that additional step and not charge for handicap parking became a problem because there are different type of handicapped people that have these plates and use the parking. So there was an abuse, and they've, since gone back and ultimately required charging for handicap parking. I guess my question is, and maybe we have information on this, maybe we don't, how difficult is it to procure one of those placards for handicapped people that do qualify for, or should qualify for free parking at the state level? Is it very difficult? Is it, you say we don't do a good job monitoring it, and so they have to, be further inconvenienced. And
It's a sticker that goes on a license plate.
Right.
The process to get that sticker, I hope I never need to know how to do it.
There's a PDF application on the Secretary of State's website that you fill out, you mail in.
It's actually part of the agenda. If you scroll all the way down to the end, it gives you a copy of the application, and then criteria is actually highlighted as part of 3. So if you wanted to scroll down, you can look at.
I saw the requirements to
But
get
it's an
it.
individual request.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how procedurally, mechanically, how difficult it is at the state level. I don't know how cumbersome it'd be to have something in Royal Oak that, like a local application for some kind of placard or something, so that Royal Oak seniors or handicapped people could go apply once and then they can park for free and not bother with the state level. That's why I ask how difficult it is at the state level, and apparently there's not great coordination between state and our city parking enforcement team. I just wonder, that might be a nice compromise. We charge for handicap parking unless they've gone to Royal Oak and applied to Tim Twing, and Tim decides whether their individual case merits free parking or not.
The only difficulty I see with that is that though that system would only be valid in Royal Oak, where the state system is
Yeah.
valid everywhere.
Yeah, we're Royal Oak,
Right.
and so I'm concerned about Royal Oak.
My recommendation is, and I'll support the motion, is to maybe direct Sean to gather as much information and on the applying to the state for this, and getting it on the DDA's website and making it available so that it's easy to read and people will be able to maneuver through it and start the process on their own. And then that should solve the problem.
And somehow, as Gary suggests, make sure that parking enforcement does not ticket
Looks for that
people.
particular,
Yeah, because now a handicapped person is obliged to go to the court, and that's a
Correct.
nightmare.
Right. Correct.
One last thing that I'll add, I read one of the, I can't remember which city it was, but, God, I hate to even say this, but I'm just quoting what I read. What they said was that when the handicap parking became free, that it almost like incentivized some people, and some people were using, their mom's tag or something like that. And so now all of a sudden, the true people who needed the spots, they weren't available because other people were parking them because they were free. In other words, it sort of added a reason to go there. And, I mean, terrible that people are like that, but anyway.
Any other discussion? Do have a motion on the table and a second? I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, cost-sharing agreement, Second and Third Streetscapes.
This is really an update to
I'm gonna recuse myself from this one because our office is involved in the project, so.
This is an update to the agreement, the draft agreement that I sent out last month. We have gotten cost estimates from the contractor developer that's anticipated to do the work along the north side of 3rd Street from the alley to Main Street, as well as the north side of 3rd Street near William Street. And then there's a segment of 2nd Street between the parking deck and the west side of the alley. Well, those estimates have come in from the contractor slash developer. City staff is still reviewing them. We just got the actual design drawings last week, so we're comparing quantities to what's on those design drawings to compare it to the unit prices they've provided. Now, I have given you the totals of the estimates for each segment, just so that you have an idea of the dollar amount that is anticipated to do the work from the contractor for the developer in those areas. I am not looking for any action today. I just know I don't want this to be an item that's dropped on you at last minute. I want to keep it in front of you. It is consistent with prior action and budgeting that you've done for fiscal year 1920. Really, the remaining segment 1A, segment 1B, which are the 3rd Street portions, the DDA has talked about funding and doing 100% of that work, just as normal streetscape work you'd do on any block. It's just a matter of, are those costs reasonable and consistent with what we've done recently? You'll recall we've done the south side of 11 Mile. We've got bids in for Troy Street. So we've got some good unit prices to work from. The only portion on the 2nd Street segment that the DDA would potentially pick up would be, you've asked for stamped colored concrete to be put in, similar to what's in the rest of the north-south alley. That's not anticipated either by the city and or the developer as part of their projects, and so we're trying to break that out to make sure what's related to it. And then there are some soft costs that need to be assigned as well. So when we have a recommendation from basically city engineering staff and from Plant Moran Cressa, I'd anticipate bringing this back to you to fill in the blanks and concur with it, probably at your August meeting. It's possible that the 3rd Street work will be done this fall, September or October. It's likely the 2nd Street work will wait until sometime in the spring of 2020.
Tim, do you as in your best guess, the soft costs, like do you think those will be broken down in as a percentage basis with the rest?
Well, some of it, there will be some revised engineering work that occurred because the DDA asked for colored stamped concrete, and that changed. That won't be a percentage, that's just going to be related, it'll be there. Some of the other stuff will be percentage related.
So that's segment 5, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, again, it's an update. I'm not looking for any action today. I couldn't recommend you do anything today, so I was hoping we'd have numbers done, but that's not the case, so.
Tim, one question. Segment 1A and 1B, is that similar in the approach that we took on the east side of Center, adjacent to the post office? Is that the similar type of activity that we're talking about?
Yeah, if you go down to the map, if you go past the the agreement, we go down to the exhibit, you'll see the areas in purple at the bottom, labeled 1A and 1B. Those are the areas we're talking about. And then area 5 is in blue, which is 2nd Street.
Okay.
And if you skim down, if you go down to the next drawing, there's a little more detail on the stamp colored concrete, what that design looks like.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions at this point? This is going to come back to us.
But to answer your question, yes, it's very similar to what you did with the west side of Center on the east side of the post office, that commitment that you paid there, as well as what you did on 4th Street adjacent.
Right yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay, item number 9, parking lot design, 217 Knowles.
This is related to, the DDA has budgeted in fiscal year 1920, $500,000 for site work and basically this activity around the new city hall and police station. 2,500 of that was roughly allocated to the site work, storm detention, things like that.
250,000.
250,000, excuse me.
Two zeros.
This particular work is related to, right now, I think the committee's aware, the infrastructure committee. There are 22 parking spaces that are east of the courthouse that are under a lease agreement with the property owner at 217 Knowles, and those are his reserved parking spaces in the city public lot. The intent of this was to potentially build a parking lot on his private property and then free up those 22 spots for public use. The design that's attached is a preliminary design that I wanted to make sure that the board was aware of and comfortable with. Again, it's anticipated that the DDA is going to pay for this once it's bid. You'll see the plans are in there. There are two sets of plans. One, they have the same layout, other than one of them includes permeable pavers. You'll see those designated by a hatched pattern on one set of plans. It's basically a strip that's about 10 feet wide by 145 feet long with permeable pavers, similar to what's put in at the entrance of the 11-mile parking deck, those gray. And so that's the really only difference between the two layouts is the intent was to bid both options and see where the cost came back. I do have a meeting scheduled with the property owner on the 22nd to go over this with him. He's already given permission for the survey and some of the preliminary work that was done. They're very supportive of this. Their benefit is that they're constantly fighting with farmers market and public people parking in spots that are technically reserved for his clients and patrons. So he sees a benefit in it as well. Process-wise, if the DDA is still comfortable with moving forward, the couple of the items that will probably get added to this plan, there is no screening proposed on the lot right now. And as we run it through the approval process, I think that'll probably get added, either in this form of landscaping hedgerows or something, or an actual wall or fence of some type along the south and east portion of the lot.
Jim, just so I understand, that, so these 22 spots, are going to become public spots.
No, these 22 are going to be his private lot. The 22 that are currently signed and reserved in the city lot will become public.
Okay, so we're not talking about that strip of lot that's private right now. That's staying private.
Well, I don't.
You're talking about this right here.
Let me see what I got.
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
private lot.
Okay, okay.
They're coming in off of, they're coming in.
If you can picture the area east of the courthouse,
Okay.
the surface parking lot there that
Yep.
has a row of parking along the east edge. That's all signed, reserved for this psychology clinic.
Okay,
And so technically, those are all non-public spaces.
I got you.
The benefit, obviously, to the city is those now become public.
Okay.
We don't have an agreement with a private property owner to enforce and reserve private spaces on a public lot. So anyways, this was, I think, the DDA was on board, you budgeted for it, and I'm, again, trying to keep you in the loop
Yep.
of where it sets. Procedurally, as I said, if I meet with him on the 22nd, and the owner's on board, we'll have them file an application for review and approval through the Planning Commission and City Commission. This plan will float up through that probably in August/September. If it's approved, then it'll be, the final designs will be done and sent out for bid. When the bids come back, those will come to you at the board to either approve or reject and fund, and then the work will go forward.
Any other questions? Okay.
Since we're on parking, can we throw in the?
Okay.
Sherman line?
We have one added agenda item.
Yeah, if you want to do it now, we can.
Yeah, I mean,
We did get a request at the last minute that I wasn't able to put on here, was for the board to consider a recommendation regarding the Sherman Drive lot, or Lot P9. Currently, it's a lot with 109, 110 parking spaces in it, I believe. 25 of them are long-term 12-hour spots. I believe the rest are 30 or 3-hour spots. And they sell monthly passes for that lot as well. There's been requests from adjacent business owners to not sell passes for that lot, given that the new parking deck's right across Washington, and whether the board wanted to consider forwarding a recommendation today or refer it to the infrastructure committee and talk about it in August. It's an item that came up, and I was asked to pass it on, so I'm passing that request on, and whether you want to get more info and deal with it in August, that's fine.
the majority of those, the permanent spots are taken up by the one company that, is that correct?
What I don't have today is how many permits are actually sold in that lot, monthly
Okay.
permits. I think that would be appropriate to get.
Yep.
I think that the cost of those monthly permits would be something you'd
Yep.
want to know. So
Yeah.
there's no rush, I don't think,
Yep.
to
No.
refer this to the infrastructure committee. But if you weren't interested in dealing with it, there was no point in referring
No,
it back.
the one thing that I feel is, I mean, it's enough hardship, and we all understand the reasons why we took up surface lots and turned them into structures, and, we needed to go up with parking. But I think that at this point, I think the surface lots that remain are vital for retail and the establishments around there, and anybody who's gonna be parking all day should be in a structure. I mean, that's my opinion. But with not knowing exactly who is using them and the number of them and the cost of them, I think that we should take this to the infrastructure committee, if everybody agrees. I'm good with that.
Okay with that? Okay. Everybody?
Do it.
Okay, then we'll refer it back to infrastructure, and Tim, just bring us whatever information you think we need to make a recommendation. Okay, item 10, committee updates. Consumer Market Committee. Mr. Yazbek?
Yes, we had a meeting. The main thing we talked about, the item that we already discussed, the Senior Health and Fitness Expo. So I don't think we need to talk about that anymore. We spoke to a social media marketing company that I think we believe there's still a need for that. But we tabled it because we want to see how a company, a media marketing company would integrate with our new Marks Lane PR company. So I think we have to feel that out a little bit and see how it goes with Marks Lane. And I think, Sean, we're going to set up a meeting potentially with Marks Lane's social media guy and this other company.
Correct.
So we talked about that. We'll continue to discuss that at the committee level. And the only other item we talked about, I think, was the holiday glow. And we have some work to do on that as well. Discussing things like, do we do it Friday and Saturday, or potentially Saturday and Sunday? Sunday being more of a family day. The exact location of a tent we discussed. So that's still kind of up in the air. I think there was, Julie needed to have some discussion with the police department on that. And I think we've decided to cut the balloon program for this year.
No argument here.
Even though Director Riley was very fond of that. So we're coming up with some other ideas. The signature item is going to be the glow parade this year. And we want to make sure that we have legitimate floats and not just people walking down the street waving, although that's, very nice. So we're working on that as the signature event, signature item of the festival, of the weekend. Anything else, Sean, that I'm?
I think it was a pretty simple meeting. I think you covered all points.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think, yeah.
Okay. Infrastructure Committee. Briefly, I can, most of the items that were on the agenda have dealt with tonight also. I did want to bring to the board one attention that the Infrastructure Committee is making a recommendation. We were asked to talk about the maintenance / replacement of the brick pavers throughout the city. It was the opinion of the committee that we look into replacing all of those with stamped concrete as opposed to repairing patches here and there. So we're in the process of putting it all together. It's a very big project. It may take us a while to get it off the ground, and we may have to do it in segments of the city. So we're now going to try and indicate the sections that need to be done that are in the worst shape right now, and try and prioritize what areas need to be done first. So I did want to bring that to the Boys Committee, that's the direction that the Infrastructure Committee is looking at going in terms of the street pavers. So, Business Market Committee.
We did not meet,
Okay.
contrary to what that says.
All right. Downtown Manager Report.
Okay, I'll keep mine fairly brief. Just a couple of announcements. We had 3 new businesses I'd like to make mention opened up in downtown Royal Oak. One is LFG Gaming Lounge on South Washington. 2 doors down is Pago Ice Cream at 623 South Washington, and then we had Kaizen Ramen that opened up on South Washington as well at 411 South Washington. We have 2 additional businesses ready to open by the time of our next meeting. One is City Ramen. They've announced that they plan on being open by late July, early August. And then Condado Tacos, formerly B-Spot, has announced that they will be open on August 8th. Closed businesses, I would like to amend that. We do have Burn Rubber that is actually moving. They're remaining in Royal Oak, but they're moving outside of the downtown. So just a point of clarification on
Up to
that.
512, is that right?
I believe so.
Sean, a real quick question. I noticed a dumpster in front of where Taco Bell was on Main. Is there something going in there, or are they just gutting that, do you know?
Noodles and Company will be moving into that new space.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
there was talk, we didn't know if they were closing, or they initially elected not to renew their lease in that spot. So we were sweating for a minute, but instead they were just
Got it.
downsizing to the Taco Bell space, so.
Got it. Perfect.
Parking promotion, we received a lot of positive feedback on the free parking promotion in June. Everything from positive phone calls, social media comments, to people leaving notes on my door thanking us for doing that. I think it earned us a lot of goodwill in the community. I've included the amount that we spent to promote that. I would like to amend the Facebook boost amount. That was the amount that we had authorized on the DDA's credit card for the boosts. The actual clicks charged much less than that, about 25% of that. So we ended up spending about $285 total on the Facebook boost instead of that. But other than that, the other numbers are accurate. So we came in a little bit under budget for that, but I think word really got out. My wife works in Milford, and she was saying that her coworkers were even bringing it up, and they didn't even know I worked for the city of Royal Oak. So we were reaching all over southeastern Michigan, I believe, in terms of getting the word out. We had a lot of good press coverage for that, too. The Destination Downtown Workshop, where we brought in John Schallert to speak, is happening in 1 week. We have about 75% to 80% of the seats filled at this point. We have an Eventbrite page right now. I am constantly reaching out to other business owners and property owners to attend, so I expect those numbers to also increase by this time next week. And again, that's at the Hyatt, starting at 8 a.m. Public Relations Services, as you all know, Marks Lane began its contract this month. I sat down with them the first week of July to have a kickoff meeting with them. We identified some of the things that were priorities, and they've been getting to work. They've already done a pretty good press release for us, advertising some of the programs that we have going on downtown. They got us a television media appearance as well on Fox 2. That was yesterday morning. Pushing downtown Royal Oak as a live music destination, so some positive news. I did include a data sheet for the pedicab promotion that they sent me that covers their activities in June. So in June, they moved a total of 2,100 passengers in the downtown. It also includes a map of the areas where the ridership was coming from in downtown as well. So.
John, and it's just real quick, it's interesting in noting in the numbers. I mean, if you remember, the first couple of weekends weren't the best weather. The third weekend was good, and if you look at the jump in there, it's significant.
Right.
I mean, that's a nice number.
Yeah, they said that it outpaced their expectations for just getting on the ground and just opening. So they're very great to work with. And as you know, they are continuing that through July as well. So the DDA did authorize that for every weekend in July as well. So. What else we have? We have Live Music Thursdays. That kicked off on July 11th with the start of the summer concert series. We're also promoting all of the live music that's happening in the private venues, bars and restaurants. So we had a lot of design work done by graphic artists. So we have posters out in circulation, cards. We have social media pages up and running. We've reached out to all of the major anchors offering live music, and they've signed on to include all of their Thursday events in this promotion too. So places like the Maury, Desert Oasis, 526 Main, etc. As I mentioned, we had coverage on Fox 2 yesterday morning. Monday morning, WDIV covered us with the Dave Hamilton Band as well. So that was a lot of fun. I think that's going really well so far. And just as a reminder, the board, Vegans and Vodka will be happening August 2nd and 3rd. That'll be on 2nd and 3rd Streets east of Main, as well as in the Royal Oak Way, that new alley. And then I have been contacted by Oakland County Main Street. They're putting together a tourism website for Oakland County. I don't know if you do a Google search of Oakland County, but if you do, the first thing that comes up is the jail. So they want to change that, and they want to make it more of a tourist destination and highlight a lot of the amenities. So they reached out to us to see if we would be willing to participate on this and have our own dedicated Royal Oak page. We could include the amenities in our downtown, such as the theaters, comedy clubs, bars and restaurants, retail, the zoo, for instance, the hotels. So I ran it by the Business Marketing Committee, and they gave their enthusiastic assent to it. So we're just going to be preparing some information to give to them. One bonus thing that this will give us is the ability to have a community calendar that individual businesses will be able to submit their events to. I know I've been asked if there's been a centralized calendar for Royal Oak for quite some time, and the chamber has their own calendar, we have ours. This would afford the ability for everyone to have a singular calendar that people can refer to if they're looking for events in downtown. So with that concludes my report.
Thank you. Questions for Sean?
I have a question. You said that the pedicabs are going through July.
Correct.
What happens then?
At the end of July,
Yes.
funding runs out and they stop.
Thought we talked at the last meeting that they were going to go through the summer.
The last resolution that was passed at the June meeting was to fund them through the month of July. Am I correct in that?
With the thought being that then they would be self-sufficient
gap.
and
Yeah.
selling the advertising and be able to fund themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're welcome to continue to operate. Before Don left, we did have a conversation with that. They're capable of operating down here if they fund themselves, but there would be no additional subsidy beyond July, I should say.
So do we have an indication as to if they're aggressively selling, if they're doing well, if they're going to stay?
Based on the information that they've given me, I don't think that they would have enough at this point to be self-sufficient, to reach the level of funding. I mean, I believe they've sold a couple so far, but I don't think they would be near that. I would be surprised if they were able to achieve that level of funding from the ads based on what I've seen so far.
Can we ask them to come back to the committee level and give us an update?
My fear is, though, there'll be a gap.
That's the last thing you want.
Yeah, we won't be able to make a decision until the August meeting. And then right after that is Arts, Beats, and Eats, so the summer's over.
As a point of feedback, one of the pieces of feedback I did receive was if we were gap funding up to the full amount of $18,000, that they did not feel they had an incentive to aggressively sell because they would just rely on the DDA to fill whatever gap that they didn't sell. So going forward, if there was a continuation of it, with that in mind.
I've offered to advertise and had one email exchange with the owner, but I've yet to receive an invoice. I don't take that as a negative. I'm just saying that because I've stepped up, and I hope other businesses in Royal Oak will step up as well to keep this going, because I think it adds an amazing energy to the city.
So, and I guess my question would be, we're looking at basically one more month, because then, like you say, then it's Arts, Beats, and Eats, and September, and yeah, September's nice, but, I mean, if you discontinue it now, I sure would like some input.
We wouldn't be able to take any action until
Yeah.
the August meeting, and if it is going to end at the end of July, then we do have a 2.5 to 3 week gap.
Is there a way we can create some sort of stopgap, but also give them the incentive to take some of this on themselves, like a matching program or for August, to give them the incentive to go out there and sell advertising? If they say that, it's as great as they say it is, and I think it's great, then maybe they will go out. Because, I mean, I had to basically ask, how much is this going to cost me and where do I send my money? It's not that expensive. So I feel like if they asked a lot of businesses, they would get a pretty good response.
What, I mean, we're talking 1 month here.
Yeah, Tim, the DDA has some rules that they're guided by that, allows the executive director to take action up to a certain dollar amount. Is that not correct?
Yes.
And that dollar amount being
3,000.
3,000, I thought?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I would go back. You had a little bit of this discussion at the June meeting, and you can refer back to the June minutes when you adopted the resolution then to continue for July. If you want to make it a matching program, to me, I would pass a resolution to fund a certain percentage for the month, and, you know, if it,
About 50%,
I would do
you know,
50, up
20.
to 50%.
up to 50%.
Yeah.
And then,
so-
I don't think you really want to fund the last week in August when Arts Meets and Eats is, the city's
I don't think
closed.
it's till September this year.
it's, well, so August 31st is Saturday.
5 weekends in
Well,
August, so.
And what you could do with the match, if you wanted to, is fund up to 50% of it, provided they give you, or Sean or I, whoever, what they've sold by the first week of August, so you know whether it's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree
If
with,
they don't sell it in the next 2 weeks, then, or 3 weeks, then you don't do anything.
and I would agree with Director London that we would do the first 4 weekends.
There's 5 weekends.
If, in fact, the 30th and 31st, is that the 5th weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
So- yeah.
clarify that only the first 4 weeks in
Correct,
August.
correct, I agree 100% with that.
If Jim,
Yep.
whatever his name wants to fund it himself, he
Yep.
can.
Further discussion on this is, so this would only be a 1 month agreement then? Is that what we're saying?
I would say, yeah, then.
And then we
that's
can hammer it out between now and,
in the beginning of
Yeah.
next year.
Exactly.
okay.
And then we hopefully by then, they can get their ducks in a row. And, I mean, hopefully they use the winter.
I would imagine that a lot of the businesses don't even really know that they can advertise
Right,
on there.
right.
So,
Then you get the word out.
I've been connecting them with opportunities, so there are some business owners who
Okay.
are.
All right.
Okay, so we need a motion on this?
Yes.
I'll
Gary,
make a
can you
motion
attempt this?
that the DDA match up to 50%,
For the funding
of the
needed?
funding needed to complete the 4 weeks in August.
First 4
for the
weekends.
The 4 weekends,
First
first 4 weekends of the pedicab service, provided that they give you verification that they're out there selling, and they have the amount of funds.
So how I understand it is that they would have these ads lined up before the start of August, correct?
They better get busy.
Yeah.
Well, the next, the next action couldn't even be taken until,
Right. Or
August 17th or 20th.
Or they make the commitment to keep their name out there, knowing that we're in for half of it. So in their minds, they can say, well, they're covering the first 2 weeks, and if we don't sell anything, well, then we're on our own dime for the last 2 weeks. An agreement's an agreement.
I can speak to them.
Yeah.
The nice thing about this is it gives some room to negotiate with them a little bit, so.
Well, and, I mean, you would hope that from their standpoint, that they understand that continuity is key, and that they want to stay involved through this month, and then they, you know, then, you know, this kind of came on pretty quickly, and let's hope that like the good businessmen they seem to be, that they'll take the winter and reformulate things, and they'll come out, and they'll have an advertising campaign, and they'll, by the time May or June hits, whenever they want to start, they're locked and loaded.
Tim, are you okay with the resolution? Wait,
Well, I didn't catch the last part of it.
I didn't throw it.
Provided they provide.
Some evidence that they're actually selling. I don't know how you would, my fear is that they get 75% of the amount, and do we just nix the entire month because they haven't gotten all 4 weeks covered? How do I put that into words?
And that's what I'm asking, is what your intent as a board is, because I could set it up that I'm gonna issue a check every week, and it's only gonna be half the amount for that week, and that's all they're gonna get.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I like that.
Now, that doesn't mean they're gonna do it,
Huh?
but if that's your intent,
Yeah,
then that's different than if you wanna fund 2 weeks and quit. I mean,
no, because that way there's skin in the game every week. And
It
they
shows
have-
us their incentive if they really want to remain here.
we'll issue, we'll split $9,000 by 4 weeks.
Yep.
So do we get any advertising since we're funding them? Like our logo? Yeah.
Under the previous agreement, they allowed us to do that because we were providing funds, so.
Are you good with the resolution?
I am.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Director Riley. Is there any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I have one more question for Sean. The vegans and vodka, is there artwork that you could send out to us to get the word out? Because I've seen nothing.
Okay, they do have a social media page, they have some graphics, so, our social media has shared that, so I can send that over to you if you'd like.
Okay. Can you send that out to, like, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, because we need to hit the ground running on that. Also, I want to comment that I've seen our Royal Oak marketing campaign everywhere. I don't know if you guys have been seeing it on TV. It's been, I mean, I've seen almost every iteration of the commercial that we have, billboards. I've seen it online. So we're,
Sean was gonna
thank
be
you,
about
Sean.
it.
I just put it where you'd see it.
It's got banners and.
That's all I got.
Okay, well, the rest of item 11, B, C, and D are just special event permits that got passed on to the City Commission and the Parkmobile Agreement, which also went to the City Commission, so. Anything else?
We can't stop because Jason left.
Yeah, you just missed them. You just missed them.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Second by Director Balio. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
So you gotta come